lucica, l'astro d'argento, l'acida e l'onda, prospero il vento, venite all'agile, barchetta mia, Santa Lucia, Santa Lucia, venite all'agile.
Preparing the boats for the beginning of the season is like watching your wife get ready for a big date. You know, the first thing she does is she scrubs herself clean, and then, you know, she puts on makeup and does her hair, and as beautiful as she is, without all of that, there's an extra sparkle that she has when she's done. The whole idea is to try and get them in as nice a shape as we possibly can before they go in the water, so that after we go in the water, the only thing that needs to be done with them for the entire season is we wipe them down with the chamois and water. The boat dates to the early 70s. It was brought to America by a guy down in New Jersey who, among other things, was an events coordinator for hotels and banquet facilities. He bought it for Italian-themed events. Well, he found out relatively quickly after buying a 36-foot boat how difficult it is to actually get it in and out of buildings. He took a saw and he cut it into thirds. This bay is filled with layers of marine plywood, epoxy, and fiberglass. We think that the carvings were done by the last of the great boat carvers in Venice. His nickname was Il Santo, the Saint. The ferro on the bow is Italian for iron. Originally, they were made out of iron. They were counterweights to the gondolier's weight in the stern. So up on top, this is supposed to be reminiscent of the hat worn by the ruler of Venice, the Doge. This was built by the last of the great boat builders in Venice. Tramontine, his actual name was Niati. Instead of just carving his name, they carved his whole boatyard. There are a dozen gondoliers, including myself. And everybody comes to the gondolas with a different kind of passion that relates somehow to this. Most of our guys are younger than I am, which is 35. And our oldest guy actually turned 65 this year. We all end up being approximately the same. If you're bigger, you end up losing weight. If you're smaller, you end up gaining weight. Well, the long and short of it is that you just need time on the water.
You stay tied to the dock.
You get your basic stroke down, which takes about an hour.
And then you work on trying to go into a straight line.
Where the river's nice and wide, you just try and make the boat go.
Then you have to make it a trip that somebody would want to go on.
You have to get the rock out of the boat. I mean, anybody can row after a few lessons. It takes a while before people are allowed to take passengers on board.
The hardest, absolute hardest part for a new gondolier is finding the balance between the two halves of the stroke. Positive to move you forward, but it also moves you slightly to port, and then you flip the oar over and pull back for the negative stroke.
Really, the best thing you can do is fall in during training and get it out of the way. We call it baptism. It makes us feel a little bit better about ourselves. There's an experience of being on the gondola, and that is kind of the business side of what we do. People who are visiting from the city are interested in, you know, the city itself, so they have to learn all about the history of Providence and, you know, what the buildings are and things to do. You know, we take very seriously the idea that we are not only ambassadors of Venetian culture, trying to stay as authentic as we possibly can with the actual literal rowing of the boat. We take seriously being ambassadors of the city of Providence as well. We have never lost a passenger overboard. I think the most oddball questions and requests come from guys who want to propose, but you never know what a guy is going to ask. You know, we've done messages in a bottle before where, you know, we're rowing along and we'll drop a bottle into the water with you know, and then we have to swing around and pick it up, which in the dark can be pretty interesting. Water fire nights are spectacular. To see 40 or 50,000 people on shore, and the gondolas really are kind of, aside from the fire, the center of the attention.
If you have like the view of seeing a gondola just kind of cruise through the fire, a sea of people surrounding you, it probably looks like somebody is just walking on fire, which is on the water.
To me, traveling through the flames, it's an exercise in extrasensory perception, or at least maybe just sensory perception. Smelling the smoke, and you hear the crackle. You can get the taste even of the ash sometimes, and it really does just move you. Of course, the music.
Smoke, the swirl of the water, every motion of the oar.
In terms of the magic, it's there every fire. Whether it's a fire night or a non-fire night, you have people on board who it may be the only time they're ever on a gondola, it may be the only time that they're ever in Providence, and you owe it to them to do the absolute best job that you can possibly do. You give them the trip that they, in their heads, are hoping that they have.
Venezia, la luna e tu. Stanotte questo cuore, sognando aspetterà. Venezia, la luna e tu. Sulla laguna l'amor ci vincerà, tra un sussurrar di dolci cantilene, coi baci ti dirà, ti voglio bene. Venezia, la luna e tu. Questo è il grande sogno che non si scorda più. Venezia, la luna e tu. Questo è il grande sogno che non si scorda più.